Okay. You weren't on the home screen. Didn't you think to yourself, why did we already start the lesson and I'm looking at the screen and it's not right? Okay, so that should not say using models. That should say using tables. So we're calculating percent increase and decrease using a table. We are going to start inputting our equation. We'll see as far as we can get. If all we can get is our steps on how to use the table, then that's as far as we get today. And then tomorrow we'll add in equations. We'll see how we go. So let's use equations to represent increases and decreases. Okay, so quick little warm up. I want you to write these percents as decimals. So go ahead and see, how do I turn these percents into decimals? We should know how to do this at this point. So this is a good way for me to see if you actually know how to do it at this point. It's not an I got you, I promise. I'm like, I need to know who knows how to do this. Let me erase those names. Okay, yeah, that'd be awesome. I don't know who this is. I'm not going to pull up your name, but I would check that 6%. This one looks good. This one looks pretty good. This one's got nada. This one looks, we gotta check the 2 on the bottom. The 2 on the top are good. This one looks good, except you're missing a number. And then I've got nothing. Okay, so how did you guys solve for changing your percent to a decimal? What'd you do? I can't hear you. You're too far. And you have this on your mouth. What'd you say? Really? Yulivani, what did you do? You all solved it. What did you do? You just guessed? I know that is not the case. You guys are driving me crazy. Here I am giving you props. Oh, you guys did so good yesterday. You were talking, and then you hear you sit and you're all quiet. Not okay. So what did you get for 50%? How did you get it? How did you know? Did you do something? Did you move a decimal? Did you multiply it by something? What'd you do? You moved the decimal. Okay. Jesus. So we got 0.54, 0.50. You're right, you can move the decimal. So when you have a number like your 50%, you always have a decimal here. You move it over 2 times. You go 1, 2, decimal, and then we got 0.50. There's also a second way to do this, which we will look at in a second. So then for 85%, what did you get? 0.85. For 106, what did we get? We forgot a decimal in there. Thank you. We got 1.06, and I had some people forgetting that 0. You can't forget the 0. And for 6%, 0.06. Good. This is the one that usually people have the most trouble with. What about 0.6%? Thank you. We got 0.006. Because if you're moving the decimal over 2 places, you go 1, 2, and then you fill that in with another 0. Okay, second way that you find the decimal. And I want you to write this down, and I forgot to pop it up on my screen. So, everybody should be able to see this. So under the notes that you should already have in your notebook for percent models, how to change a percent to a decimal. 2 ways. Write it in your notebooks. Oops, not a line. I don't want a line. I want it to move. Okay. Okay. So how to change a percent to a decimal.
Oh, you're joking.
Yeah, that's what I did. And I said it out loud. I said, make sure you're writing it. Because obviously life just ignore that part. For those at home, ignore the fact that my board does not want to work well today. How to change a percent to a decimal. So there are 2 ways, and we wouldn't be able to move on if you don't know how to do at least one of the 2. So one way, so my example would be 50% equals 0.50. You move the decimal to the left 2 times. I don't know, because sometimes like, if I don't have it all the way, that's something. If I don't have it all the way to the bottom, it won't keep going up. So like it starts popping up on my screen like there's a message. I don't see them there. Okay, second way, you're still gonna get the same answer, but like let's say it's an unfriendly number and you're not sure. Or a good way to check your answer, because sometimes we get that mistake where it's like 6% and you guys end up doing 0.6, which is actually 60%, not 6%. And on quizzes, we like to be tricky and put numbers like 6% so that you have to turn it into a decimal. So numbers like 6% equal 0.06. You divide your percent by 100. And that gives you your decimal. And I'll write that in for second block so that I don't have to kneel on the floor. That's because he logged in after I shared the screen. Alan, dame un segundo, que es que te hiciste parte de la clase después que ya yo había compartido la pantalla. Okay, you guys all have it down, right? Okay, I'm gonna unshare and share again. Oh, I did. Okay, and I'll write this down later while you guys are doing your work. I lost our Nearpod. Where did it go? You see? Or in the completely skip that. Oh, depreciation. I need to add that to our word wall. So I added up there our little percent increase and decrease word wall. That might be good for you guys to either write down, or I'll have it in our anchor chart so that way you guys can see it. It'll be there and in your computer. Do we all know where to find our notes online? Did you guys see that part? Yes, yes. You can say no. Okay. Do you know where to find our notes online? Like, you don't have to be afraid to say no. I know online things get lost a little bit, but I'd rather know. I can't show you. I'm going to show you later, but you know. Junior, okay. So at the end of the lesson, I'll go back in to show everybody where the notes are. So remember, when a quantity is increased or decreased 100%, describes the starting value. So remember, like we've been talking about for the last 2 days, our original amount is always matched up to 100%. Are you ready? So if I take 100% and turn it into a decimal, what do you think it's going to give me? This one should be easy. It's going to give you 1.00, or 1. Good. So if I turn 100% into a decimal, it's going to give me 1.00, which I'm just going to write out as 1. So we're going to be using that 100% as a decimal 1 to help us with our equations, okay? So it should be an easy transition. So yes, that's right. 100 divided by 100 gives us 1. So for our equations, we're going to use 1 to represent 100%. For today, maybe tomorrow, we're going to keep that 100% on there as well. So that way you guys keep it here in your head that that's what it's representing. Okay? I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking today. So money in a particular savings account increases by about 6% after a year. How much money will be in the account after 1 year if the initial amount is 100? So I decided that we were only going to do one number to start with. I'm going to do this one. So again, I would recommend that you write down at least one example in your notebook, including words and all. So money in a particular savings account increases by about 6% after a year. How much money will be in the account after 1 year if the initial amount is $100? So I'm going in and I'm underlining important information, things that I need to know. So I'm going to go ahead and put in some of my information. So, who can tell me what my original amount is. $100. So my original amount is $100. Is it an increase problem or a decrease problem? It's an increase problem. Perfect. Do we know what our new amount is? No, we have no idea. So I'm just going to put a question mark right here. I'm going to move through this one kind of slow for me and for you. Make sure you're writing it down. Do you have the word problem written down? Write it down, not just the table, because then you go back into your notes and you're like, what does this table have anything to do with? And I'm like, I don't know. You should have written the word problem down. So remember, you can also see the word problem on your screen. Okay, so let's look at our percents. So what would our original percent be? 100%. So we have 100%, which as a decimal would be what? 1. So I'm going to write that 1 down here in red. I'm going to keep our percents in green. Okay, so we increased by how much? 6%. So I'm going to put plus 6% because we're doing 100% plus 6%. Now we're going to turn that into a decimal. So what's 6% as a decimal? 0.06. Remember, it's moving over the decimal twice. So we're doing plus 0.06. So we're trying to keep in our heads what everything means to us. Okay, so this is it's not the tricky part. It's just going to be brand new. So you know how yesterday and Monday we were looking at our number lines, right? So we were like, okay, I'm going to divide so that I can figure out my numbers. You guys need a second? I feel like I need your undivided attention for this part. Give them a second. Because if not, no one's going to understand what we're doing. You know what I should have done? You know what I'm going to start doing? At least for the people in the building. This problem, I'm going to print it out and we're going to tape it in there. It's going to make our lives a little bit easier.
Yeah, because I missed it now.
Uh-huh. Oh, thanks.
I'm writing down like little tidbits for them at home.
Thank you. Okay, so are we ready? Okay. Okay. So we know that our original amount is 1. Increase or decrease, we're increasing by plus 0.06. So remember how our new amount, when we put our percents together, what is our new percent going to be? 106. So it would be, wrong side. Our new percent would be 106%, right? So what would our decimal be? 1.06. So 1.06. Now, was that hard? It wasn't bad, right? Okay. So now we're going to get to the even funner part. Your Andy's like, I don't know. Okay. So I know my original amount. I'm not going to write it again. So usually I'll just go, I don't need that anymore. You can repeat and write it again. Now, increase or decrease. My question says, how much money will be in the account after 1 year if the initial amount? So, yes, we want to know in this question what our new amount is, right? So we're looking for the answer that's going to be in this box. Sometimes the question will ask you, what is our increase? So we have to be careful when we have this question, because sometimes our answer will be in this box. So that's something we have to be very vigilant about, okay? But I'm going to show you how to be able to find both answers, just in case you need one or the other one, okay? So if I wanted to figure out, well, how much did they increase? Just the increase. I'm going to take my 0.06 and I'm going to multiply it by my original amount. And that is going to give me just the increase. Can someone tell me what that gives me? Thank you. So our increase is $6, right? So if this is how I find my increase amount, notice how I took my decimal times my original. What do you think I'm going to do to find my new amount? 100, so we would do 1.06 times what? Times 100, our original amount. Good. So I'm going to take 1.06 times 100. And that'll give me my new amount, which is 106. So this is an easy one because I give you easy numbers. But do you see how easy that is? So, for example, if you were to say, oh, I'm just going to add this to that, that would give you your new amount. So that's another extra way to find it. Okay, so everybody has this written down. I forget that now I have to erase it. Okay, so we're going to do this half me, half you. You're going to walk me through it. So we're going to start by reading it once, and then we're going to read it a second time. So I feel like that's important because the first time you get an idea, the second time you underline. So money in a particular savings account increases by 6%. So notice it's the same problem because I just kind of added on more numbers. After a year, how much money will be in the account after a year if the initial amount is $50? So we still know that it's increasing by 6% and our initial amount is $50. So you're going to help me fill this out. So what's our original amount? $50. So our new original amount is $50. Did we increase or decrease? Increase. Do we know our new amount? No, we don't know that yet. Okay, so what is our original amount percent?
0.5.
Our percent?
Oh, 0.06.
Okay, hold on. So if we want to know what is our percent that's always our original? 100. So you're getting it confused with the increase. That's okay. So our original percent is 100, which as a decimal is 1. Good. Now, Ulivani, what is our increase percent? Okay, our decimal. We have 6%, so we're plusing 6%, which is plus 0.06. Then when we get to our new amount, again, we don't know our new amount, but we know our percents and our decimal. So if I'm increasing 100 plus 6%, what percent is my new amount? 106. Jose, you're so quiet today. If we're finding our new amount decimal, what would it be? 1.06. Good. Do I have everybody with me so far? And I know day one of this is always going to be the hardest day. But I promise you that by like day 2 and 3, it will be the easiest thing that you've ever found. I had my kids using this on EOGs the first year I taught it because they learned it so well. Okay, so again, we already know what our new amount is. So to find our increase, what would I multiply together? Perfect. So not 100 because we're doing 50 this time, but yes, I know what you meant. 0.06 times 50. And what does that give me? What does it give me? I know it's day one. It's funny because on Monday you were quiet because it was the first day we did the lesson. And then yesterday you were giving me all the answers. It's free. So I know that by tomorrow you're going to be like, oh, I know. That's fine. So what do I multiply together to get my total new amount? Perfect. 1.06 times 50. And that gives me 53. Perfect. Do we notice the pattern? It just kind of falls into place. Okay? So that's why I asked you to write it down. That way you have a reference to come back to and keep coming back to. Okay, so for the next one, you're going to do part of it on your own. I'm not going to just throw you to the wolves. Okay, so this one changes a little bit. Okay, so I want you to figure out I want you to read it. On your screens, I want you to underline key information or put a box around it, whatever you prefer. And then I want you to try and fill out this first row. Same for those of you at home. All you're doing is underlining key information and trying to fill out the first row. Did I say it in Spanish? Yeah. Para los que están en la casa, van a delinear las palabras importantes en la oración y van a tratar de llenar la primera hilera del problema. I know everybody loves this method, but this one is not always helpful. I promise. I had so many students running the problems when I tried using it later on in the year. In 7th grade, because it just isn't always working. So try to get to know this.
in this one here, you need to do the percent and then your decimal.
Is it like the first day of a new
Make sure
skilled
it's
bidders?
decreasing or saving money.
So yes, it was like first day
So,
of new
like,
skilled bidders.
Let's break our whole table down.
Perfect. You're even doing the second row. And then
Okay, so, that's all. You're not gonna have an easy time doing it with it, but you need to actually draw this table so that you can easily replicate what she's done. I'm thinking about it. So this is the original.
one thing. Remember, you have to put a block or a mouse. Yeah, you're gonna do the 15. Is it gonna be a block? Yeah, because then what we run into is that some people forget or might
Fill out
and then what they end up doing is they do the opposite of what they were supposed to do. So we would put that plus or minus there just as a
in
reminder.
this case, our given information was the original was $100.
See what I mean? I know,
That
but
we are going to need an increase
it makes me happy.
and that we don't have to say on it. And this is what we're.
Like, no lie. On Wednesday morning, I'm like, I was talking to this party this morning and I went,
Okay. Then
I
the
was like, my
second
first
one,
log on my sense.
make it a
It's
chip.
one thing
We're
I'm
gonna
like,
write
it's bad when he doesn't get on because he's the only one that
Percents
Oh, in her phone?
and what they
Yeah,
are.
he does good. I was gonna say, cause.
The reason we have to write it as decimals is that
No,
it's all
it's
five
just
hundred
back to
percent.
the
It doesn't give us a right now. We have to
Okay.
change it to a decimal. So we just multiply that as decimal with the right now.
That's a good job.
So this is what percent, 100%, right? Which is what number is a decimal? One. This, for the increase, is plus, what's 6%? So we're gonna add 0.06. And all of that is equals.
So I have the one that knows how to write it all down, and then I have the one that keeps giving the answers away because she was doing the wrong one.
100 plus 0.06 is 100.06, and guess what that is as a decimal? Right? So then what she says is, the next part.
This looks perfect. Okay, so this person, you haven't done the first row. You have good information underlined, but you haven't done the first row.
Okay.
What happened?
It's a lot of work right now.
Oh, you don't have to keep going. I'm gonna
Really
go through
fast
the rest
in this. And then the videos section of population is going to be easy. So my question mark is here, so you have answer is,
So here, 100 minus
so that tells me what typically should be. Now she has these in one block. So here you break 100% under break one. And you can do those in different colors, like she did them in green and red or whatever. So if you have it, you do this and you can see exactly what she's doing.
Now, we're.
Okay, so let's go ahead and look. I like that I'm seeing people trying to continue down the rows.
What's that as a decimal?
So let's go ahead and look at the rest. So I saw people put decrease about 15%, and our number is 1,000. Now, I saw people put $1,000 as our original amount. Remember, if you're underlining that it's a decrease, then that means in here, you're putting decrease. And I only saw one person that didn't do that. And we don't know our new amount. Now, what is our original amount percent? 100%. Which is what decimal? 1. Perfect. So I saw some people put that equals 1. That works too. Now, what is our decrease amount? Percent. Good. Minus 15%. Notice that I'm putting minus 15%. Okay. I don't know if the people at home can hear me, and I'm recording, and I hear like, I can't even.
I'm sorry, my bad.
No, I'm sorry. It's just like, we put minus 15% because we're decreasing. If I was increasing, then I would put plus. And as a decimal, 15% is what?
0.15.
Perfect. So then I put minus 0.15. And then for my new amount, my percent would then be 100 minus 15, which would be what?
85.
85%, which would be 0.85. Good. Or 0.85. Very nice. So then this last one, I'm crossing out. Then I'm going to put it in as my multiplication to solve. So this question says, how much will the car be worth after a year? So I know I'm looking for my new amount. And yes, the only reason I'm using multiple colors is so that everybody can kind of see the difference between one thing and another. So what two numbers am I multiplying in this box to get my decrease amount?
15.
Good, so I'm doing 15.
1,000.
Thank you. 0.15 and 1,000. And that gives me 115 $115. Then in my new
It's
50. Okay. Thank you. It's muffled under the mask, so it's just hard. My mistake, 150. So what am I multiplying together to get my new amount?
85,000.
Good. 0.85 times 1,000. And that gives me 850. Perfect dollars. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So today we're solving how to use the table. Tomorrow we'll be a little bit more specific about which one is our equation. But I don't want to get too specific about that today. But we're going to stop here because I want to give you time to work on your classwork. So you can go ahead and begin your classwork. I did not add a link